Welcome back, champions. Today, we explore one of the most important battles every man must face: the fight between the path of discipline and the lure of pleasure. The contrast between Bushido, the disciplined way of the samurai, and hedonism, the pursuit of pleasure for pleasure's sake, stands at the core of this struggle. In this journey, we will uncover the true nature of both paths and reveal the path that leads to mastery, inner strength, and fulfillment. To begin, let us ground ourselves in the origins of Bushido. The samurai's path is one of discipline, forged through centuries of martial tradition and philosophical inquiry. Bushido, translated as the way of the warrior, is a code of conduct that teaches virtues such as courage, honor, respect, and above all, loyalty. It demands not just the ability to wield a sword, but the ability to wield oneself, control over one's mind, body, and spirit. This path is not easy, but it is essential for those who seek to rise above mediocrity. The samurai lived with the ever-present possibility of death, and this awareness of life's impermanence shaped their every action. They trained rigorously, day after day, knowing that each moment could be their last. This devotion to discipline instilled a sense of clarity and purpose, a sense that every action carried weight and consequence. They were not merely preparing for battle, they were preparing for life. Now in the modern world, the lessons of Bushido are more relevant than ever. Our battles may no longer be fought with swords and armor, but the need for discipline remains unchanged. In fact, it may be even more vital today, in a world that constantly pulls us toward the easy and the pleasurable. Hedonism, in contrast to Bushido, promises immediate gratification, the satisfaction of desires in the moment without concern for the future. It tells us that life is meant to be enjoyed to its fullest, without limits, without restraint. But what hedonism doesn't reveal is the price of this pursuit. The pursuit of pleasure often leads to the abandonment of purpose. Pleasure is fleeting, but discipline is lasting. It is in discipline that we find freedom. Freedom from the chaos of constantly seeking more. Freedom from the cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. The warrior knows that true strength is not found in indulging every whim, but in mastering one's desires. As the philosopher Inazo Nitobe, one of the most respected scholars of Bushido, wrote in his book, Bushido, The Soul of Japan, the discipline of self is the basis of the art of war. This is true not just in the literal sense of battle, but in the broader context of life. Hedonism, by contrast, leads us to a life of constant distraction. It seduces us with the promise of pleasure, but ultimately leaves us empty, constantly searching for more to fill the void. This is the dangerous illusion of the hedonistic life. It tells us that happiness is just one more indulgence away, that the next experience, the next sensation, will bring fulfillment. But, as anyone who has chased pleasure knows, the satisfaction is always temporary. The more we seek pleasure, the more elusive it becomes. The samurai understood this deeply. They knew that to give in to temptation, to indulge in luxury, would weaken not just the body, but the mind and spirit as well. A warrior who gave in to indulgence could no longer be trusted to stand firm in the face of danger. He would lose the sharpness of mind, the clarity of focus, and the strength of will needed to overcome adversity. Bushido teaches that life is not about seeking pleasure, but about seeking mastery of oneself, of one's circumstances, and of one's purpose. Let us delve deeper into one of the core virtues of Bushido, gi, or righteousness. The samurai believed that living a righteous life was the foundation of a meaningful existence. This was not righteousness in the moralistic sense, but rather in the sense of aligning one's actions with one's principles. To act righteously meant to act in accordance with the code, to live with integrity, and to make choices that reflect one's commitment to honor and duty. In hedonism, righteousness is replaced with self-interest. the pursuit of pleasure becomes the ultimate goal, and anything that interferes with that goal is seen as an obstacle to be avoided or removed. This creates a life driven by selfish desires, where the needs of others, the demands of duty, and the call of honor are sacrificed for the sake of personal gratification. But as any true warrior knows, a life lived solely for oneself is a life without meaning. Bushido teaches that the highest form of righteousness is found in service to one's family, one's community, and to something greater than oneself. In contrast, hedonism offers only temporary highs and fleeting moments of satisfaction. It teaches us to consume, to indulge, and to prioritize the self above all else. But in doing so, it robs us of the deeper satisfaction that comes from living a disciplined, purposeful life. The pursuit of pleasure becomes a trap, leading us further and further away from the path of true fulfillment. This brings us to another critical aspect of Bushido, Makoto, or sincerity. The samurai lived with an unshakable sense of sincerity. Every action was meant to be genuine. Every word spoken was meant to be true. There was no room for deceit or manipulation in the way of the warrior. This level of sincerity requires a deep commitment to living in accordance with one's values, even when it is difficult. It requires the strength to face challenges head-on and the courage to live authentically, without hiding behind masks or falsehoods. Hedonism, however, thrives on deception, primarily self-deception. It convinces us that indulgence will bring us happiness, that living for the moment is all that matters. It encourages us to ignore the consequences of our actions and to turn a blind eye to the long-term effects of our choices. In this way, hedonism is insidious because it promises freedom while secretly leading us into bondage. The more we give in to pleasure, the more we become slaves to it. As modern men, we are constantly bombarded with messages that tell us to seek pleasure, to avoid discomfort, to live for ourselves. But Bushido reminds us that true freedom comes not from the absence of hardship, but from the strength to endure it. The warrior knows that pain, struggle, and discipline are not to be feared, but to be embraced. They are the forge through which greatness is made. This battle between Bushido and hedonism is one that we must face every day. It is not a single decision, but a series of choices that shape who we are and who we will become. Each time we choose discipline over indulgence, we grow stronger. Each time we resist the pull of pleasure and stay true to our values, we become more aligned with the path of the warrior. To close, let us reflect on the words of Musashi, the legendary samurai, who once said, "You can only fight the way you practice." This simple statement holds profound wisdom. The way we live our daily lives is a reflection of the battles we will fight in the future. If we live with discipline, integrity, and purpose, we will be prepared for whatever challenges come our way. If we live for pleasure, we will find ourselves unprepared, weak, and vulnerable when adversity strikes. Champions, as you listen to this message, remember that the choice is yours. You can live a life of discipline, following the way of Bushido, or you can chase after pleasure, following the empty promises of hedonism. One path leads to strength, honor, and fulfillment. The other leads to emptiness and regret. Choose wisely. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Help us beat the algorithm and continue bringing powerful, ancient wisdom to your feed. Explore the other videos on the channel to deepen your understanding and further develop your masculinity. Until next time, champions, stay strong and stay committed to your path.